About 3 years ago, I really set out on an endeavor to build a really good YouTube channel, and I've been in this small bedroom ever since. And over the course of my YouTube history, you can go back and look at all the different layouts and configurations. I figured what I would do in today's video is kind of let you know the ins and outs of what's working for me in this room. I've got several different projects kind of going on all at once. It's a little chaotic. There are several different YouTube channels. This is my main YouTube channel, the Home Studio Producer. It's really a channel where I want to help people learn how to record, mix, and master their own music from a home studio environment. I also have another YouTube channel called Learning Guitar with Chris Green. I was a guitar major in school and I've taught lessons for many, many years. And so I use that channel kind of as an outlet for teaching lessons. But whether you're interested in music or not, I think this video will be helpful to you as I show you my small home studio setup and really the gear and the things that have made all the difference and some of the things I personally avoided. So let's get started. So a lot of this stuff is going to be based around like music production. I do make sample packs and different products available on my website. But if you're not interested in music production, there's still some things in this video I do want to share with you. First and foremost is the camera. So I'm using the Sony ZV-E10 Mark II. Now, when I started just a couple years ago, I was using a GoPro, and that was totally fine. I believe it was Christmas or something like that where I got the Sony ZV-10 Mark I. I got a used one off the internet, and it did great. One thing I do want to recommend to you is that really, even in 2026, watching a video in 1080p is totally fine. I can understand there is an allure to go into 4K, but when you get into like the file sizes, if you're somebody that's making like a video one per week or multiple videos throughout the week, like I do some Amazon influencer videos where I make shoppable videos that go on to Amazon. I'm doing videos like that. I don't put them in 4K because Amazon doesn't even accept those 4K videos. They need to be small file types. So stick to 1080p. And with that being said, the Sony ZV-E10 Mark II, I definitely would recommend this to anybody looking to get into YouTube or any sort of content creation, but you don't have to have something like that. Some of these cameras, like you see here on the screen, this is an Elgato webcam. So the only downside about this one is that it doesn't have any audio, but as you can see, as I'm recording myself, as I'm doing this video, it does just fine. So it's a huge upgrade to like your laptop's built-in webcam. But again, those Elgato 4K webcams, they do not have any audio associated with them. The reason I got this one is for the whole multiple angles aspect. So these are really small. They just run off of a USB-C cable. And I've got one that's actually a crazy big overhead shot. So my wife and I, she is an artist, she sings. We'll do some cover songs in here, and I use that kind of sky eagle cam kind of as an alternate view. So camera wise, I am still in the ballpark of going to a DSLR camera because with something like the Sony ZV-10 Mark II, you can get your own lens if you want to. If you don't like the lens, the kit lens that it comes with, you can really customize it to make it what you need it to be. If you do get a camera like this, I do recommend you get the dummy battery is what they call it. Basically allows you to plug in the camera to a wall outlet. So you're not using the like internal battery that you would have to charge over and over again. And the great thing about that too is that all the heat goes into the power block that's outside of the camera, and it really helps your camera not overheat. So I want to recommend you check that out. Now, the current lens I've got on here is a Viltrox lens. I'll put the links in the description for all these things. I'm not going to know like serial numbers and all that kind of stuff. But the great thing about this lens is if you want to do an insane blurry background, you can definitely do that with this lens, and it's super affordable. Now, another thing I want to say about the camera and your recording video is that I am actually, even though like this is a Neumann TLM 103, this microphone is easily going for like $1,000 or more. I love this microphone. We use it for vocals. I'll use it in my videos every now and then, but actually right now, what you're hearing is just the internal microphone on the ZV-E10 Mark II. Now, this is not what the ZV-E10 Mark II microphone sounds like. I'll do a little example. So as I'm speaking at this moment, you are hearing the camera's built-in microphone. But the way that I process all of my audio for these talking videos, I now use Adobe Podcast Premium. Premium, it's really not that much. I can put links in the description. There is a free version you can use. I've used that for a while. The free version sounds a little bit like there's too much processing. It's too many artifacts. I've done videos on my channel about Adobe Podcast before, but Basically, you're using the enhance audio function to isolate your sound. And when I'm doing a talking head video like this, I believe it sounds as close to having a Shure SM7B in front of your face as I've ever heard. I've used it for at the church I work at when we're doing sermon videos, anything like that. If I take the preacher's headset microphone, I will run it through Adobe Podcast and it will process my audio that way. So I really recommend you check out the premium version, even though there is a free version available as well. The premium version allows you to make adjustments. So how intense is the processing to it? But again, if you're doing talking videos, if you're just talking to a camera, that is where I'm totally okay using something like Adobe Podcast processing. I'm usually not a fan of that when it comes to music. Like I want to play drums in a real room. I don't want to use a ton of virtual instruments and things like that. I'm very much not in the camp of using AI for everything. But when you're doing a talking head video and you want it to be consistent, this is a great option for you to check out. So when it comes to editing the videos, my audio, if I'm talking, is pretty much always going through Adobe Podcast. It really takes out all of the guesswork. So speaking of recording, anything I do screen capture, if I'm trying to do a tutorial on how to use something like Fender Studio Pro or a DAW for recording music, I will always use this program because it is completely free and a ton of people use it. It holds up really well and you can customize as much as possible. And this program is called OBS. So OBS can get really, really complicated. I'll try to go through as many of my settings as I can without just yapping on about it. Main thing is you want to go to your video settings. My canvas resolution is 3840 by 1080. So basically what I'm doing is I'm taking two 1080p resolutions and I'm stacking them together. So when you look at the screen, you can see my webcam and you can also see my screen capture recording. And when I go to edit video, I have one video file that I can crop. I can crop it to whether I want to use the webcam or I want to use the screen capture recording. I can duplicate it and then cut the thing in half. So rather than having a separate output video for my webcam and the screen capture, I believe there are plugins that can let you do that. You can pay for that if you want. I just set my canvas settings to be wide as wide as two 1080p. So everything's set to like 30 frames a second. The audio settings, you can see that stuff there. The main thing with OBS is setting up your scenes. And so this scene here is pretty much 99% of the time what I'm going with. I have a Mac audio capture. The audio capture is pretty much going to be my audio interface. If I'm playing guitar, any microphones I have plugged into my audio interface are going to be right there. I have a screen capture. It's very easy to set these up. Just click the plus button here. Go to Mac OS screen capture. It'll ask you what screen do you want to record. You can set your settings there. And then the capture card is actually, these are my Elgato webcams. So that is super great. I hit start recording and it records all that stuff. If you want more information about OBS, I can definitely make some more in-depth videos about that. Now, another thing when it comes to the home studio setup, like I mentioned already, is the audio interface. For years and years, I've been all over the place with audio interfaces. For the sake of my channel being educational, I have a lot of different audio interfaces, and I'll just tell you, there's a big difference when it comes to price points on audio interfaces. And I would say personally, if I were telling my brother to start YouTube or to start recording, I would ask him to save up as much as he possibly could so that you can really not go through the hassle of going through like really poorly made audio interfaces, selling them and trading them, and then trying to save up for the one that you really, really want. I think the Apollo interfaces are really good, but there is also kind of a waning period to these audio interfaces. They run off of DSP chips, which if you don't know what that means, basically some of these universal audio interfaces, they have a certain amount of processing that is used to run their plugins. Now, Universal Audio has been going through a lot of changes, and a lot of their plugins can just be used natively, so you don't have to have their audio interface to run their plugins. And so that means that we're spending a lot of money on Apollo interfaces when we probably don't have to. So you can check out the used market for those if you want. I just really like the Apollo because it allows me to record with those Unison plugins. So if I want to have like a 1073 preamp, I can just emulate that with my audio interface. Now, one interface that I wish I could wrap my brain around and probably bring back, the reason I sold it is because it just has way too much for what I needed it to do, was my RME Babyface Pro FS. So I've had a couple of different RME audio interfaces. They have both been fantastic. They've both been great, but they are way beyond my brain processing power. So if you're looking for something that's just really stellar and has great support to it, it's going to be RME. RME is going to be pretty expensive, however. So even on the used market, RME stuff goes pretty handily. If you get something like a Focusrite Scarlett, those are going to be fine. That, I think, if you're doing YouTube, is more than enough for what you need. If you're recording music, like you're wanting to go full time into music, then you definitely are going to want to invest in something that is really good quality. So I would at least say, bare minimum, check out the used interfaces for RME and Universal Audio. It's not saying that those are the best, but of the ones that I've used, I've enjoyed using those. Now, in order for me to record drums here in this home studio space, I have to have more preamps. I have to have more places where I can plug in microphones. And so I've got this Octo Pre, which is from Focusrite as well. This is like their Red series. You can check that out. I'll put links in the description. But basically, I have my microphones for my drums plugged into that. Here at my desk, I've got a couple of microphones, the Shure SM81, a Bayer Dynamic M160. This is a fancy ribbon microphone. This is kind of where I record acoustic guitar primarily. I'll just plug those straight into my Apollo interface. I do all of my recording here at this desk. So again, when it comes to audio interfaces, try to get a good quality one if you can. I think the Focusrite Scarlett is kind of like the bare minimum that I'll go with, the 2i2. Get the one that has 8 channels if you can. But if you're looking at the 8-channel one, me saying that, you could probably get a used RME interface for that price range. So check it out if you can. Now, again, I got several other videos on my channel all about music production. I don't want to be too bogged down on that with this video, but a few things I do want to mention is this microphone boom arm. This one is from Elgato. This is like a low profile microphone boom arm. I've really loved having this at the desk. I can just slide it over whenever I need something. And then the speakers I'm using on my desk are these Adam Audio D3V speakers. These are 3-inch monitors. You would think small speakers like this can't put out what you need it to do, but they've been fantastic. I love using these. If I'm worried about the low end, like the really sub low stuff, I can put on a pair of headphones or use my in-ears if I really want to hear those low frequencies. So I think those have been great. Now, one of the biggest things about a home studio environment is going to be your setup. So I'm going to do a quick little walk around the room. So let's check things out. So of course, when you enter the room, you're going to see this big drum set. I'm currently in the process of making some drum sample packs available at my website. You can check those out if you want to, but let's talk about acoustics. I've got this really big, thick blanket here. This one is, if you can see just how thick in between my fingers. This is a really plush blanket. It's very heavy as well. I've just got a couple of hooks in the ceiling, and this is just on the back wall just to minimize some of those reflections. I've got these acoustic panels that I've built myself. These are a great DIY project. I'll tell you this, the cloud panels that I have, these are from GIK Acoustics. These are massive, like 5-inch panels. They are expensive. My wife got this for me. I can't remember if it might have been like a birthday present, but they have been fantastic. I will just say that these cloud panels cost as much as like all of the acoustic treatment that is in my room, including this Aston reflection filter. So just keep that in mind. Now, this big acoustic panel that's behind my desk is actually a mattress. So this is a queen size mattress. We actually had, when we had our latest child was born, this was turned back into a guest room temporarily. So there was a queen size bed here, and now I use the queen size mattress as acoustic treatment. So this is directly behind my desk. This is where I am sitting like 100% of the time, I guess, unless I'm playing drums over there. So like I was mentioning before, this is the desk with the boom arm. We've got speakers here, the Adam D3Vs. I've got this little setup here with my pedal board, and that is going into, these are the different preamps here with the expansion. This is going ADAT into my audio interface, and then everything goes into my laptop. Now my laptop is an Apple M3 Pro. It's got 18 gigabytes of RAM. It's got a 1 terabyte drive. It's got all fancy stuff for it. It can certainly handle my video projects and then also doing music as well. Like I was mentioning, this is the Elgato webcam. Got a couple of those. These are fantastic little boom arms. I'll put links in the description as well so you can see that. As far as lighting goes, I did change out the fixture that's in here so I can move those around as needed. My main key light is one from GVM with this honeycomb filter. That's my key light. I'll sometimes turn this one on as kind of like a back filler, but that is how I use my small space. If I'm recording vocals or anything, I got Lana come in here. She's got a pair of headphones. We can put the Neumann TLM 103 on this, and then she can stand while I sit at the main control center. So if you're looking to use a really small space and get the most out of it, I really think it's going to come down to your gear decisions and also your workflow. So a few things that I've mentioned right off the top are that if you are looking for a camera, go DSLR if you can, because then you can upgrade the lens later if you want to. I think the ZV-10 products are great, even the first generation. If that's what you can get, go ahead and get it. There's a webcam series from Elgato. The 4K webcams are great as well. Audio, if you are doing talking head videos and educational, it mainly comes down to how are you processing that audio, and I encourage you to check out Adobe Podcast. I've got the premium version. I'll put links in the description as well. You can check that out. When it comes to video, I'm usually using OBS to record my screen capture and then the webcam footage as well, and I'm editing it in Final Cut Pro. If you don't know about Final Cut Pro or you're interested in seeing how I edit my videos, I can make a video on that as well. Just let me know in the comment section as well. When it comes to music, if you are into recording lots of instruments and things, you're going to want to have an audio interface that has lots of channels to it. But for most of you out there, if you're getting into YouTube, maybe you want to have one or two really high quality microphones plugged into your computer. I encourage you to check out the Focusrite Scarlett 2i2. I've got several videos on all of this stuff already here on my channel. My name is Chris Green. If you have any more questions about video and YouTube production stuff in general, I'd be happy to answer those as well. Just let me know in the comment section. And if you're interested in checking out any of these sample packs and things that I have from this home studio, I'll have links as well to my drums volume 1. I'm working on a sample pack as well for volumes 2 and 3. And more stuff available over on my website. I'll have links in the description. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. All right, bye.